Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, don't you love it when all your conspiracy theories are coming true? It's there's a side of you that's a little sad because you're running out of conspiracy theories. Like you're digging around online, just randomly watching videos or clicking on random links, just trying to find more conspiracy theories because it's so unfortunate that all the ones that you've been talking about for the last, months or years that kind of give you motivation to just go on, well, they're all turning out to be true. And that's exactly what it seems to be happening with this BRICS gold-backed currency. Oh, for the last couple of years, really, people have been saying, "Oh, that's just ridiculous. That it's just a trade organization. That's all BRICS is. It's just a trade organization. They have no interest in doing their own currency. And even if that happened, that's so far in the future, and it's not going to affect the U.S. economy at all." Well, is that turned out to be false? Because it looks like that's what's happening. I want to talk about that because there is some confusing and conflicting stories out there about it. And while we don't know exactly what's going on until it's just completely presented, it does appear that the BRICS nations they're working on developing a gold-backed reserve currency for the world to directly compete with the U.S. dollar. And since the U.S. dollar is a debt-based currency, there's a lot of countries that's probably going to want to move to a gold-backed one. We'll talk about that. I do want to mention for you folks that are looking to get, those kind of tools, the tools that you use, those kind of tools. Can't talk about advertising of those kind of things on YouTube. But if you're looking to get those kind of things, or those freedom seeds that you put in them, whether it's the really long, black, dangerous ones, or the little small ones that you put in your pocket or on your belt, you might want to click on the link below, or just go to defensewithtravis.com, defensewithtravis.com. It's where I've work out with Palmetto State Armory. Now, Palmetto State Armory, for those of you that don't know, it's become like the adult prepper, pro firearms, kind of pro Second Amendment, Christmas catalog. Y'all remember way back when you were children, you'd get the Sears Roebuck catalog, and you just loved going through it. And that's kind of what PSA has become, and they are just killing it with some amazing deals all the time. So if you go to defensewithtravis.com, you can get all kinds of great deals on ammunition and other things that you might want to pick up. So defensewithtravis.com. Anyways, so let's move on. So this past week, the Russia embassy in Kenya tweeted that, in fact, the gold-backed currency that BRICS has been speculating is going to happen. It's going to happen this next month. Now, I guess I should pause for a moment for those of you that don't know what BRICS is. It's a conglomeration of a few nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now, there are a lot more nations wanting to join. There's about 40 or so that's applied or said that they would apply, and then about another 40 or so, 35 to 40, that have indicated somehow that they are interested in being part of BRICS nations. So really, when you add it up, you're talking nearly half of the countries on this planet have shown interest in being part of BRICS. So it's this, it's kind of like a NATO type of thing, how we have NATO and we have the G7. Well, then you also have BRICS, which is kind of the alternate. I got a little spider. You can probably see it right there. Let me get her out of the way so you don't get bothered by her blurry image there on the camera. But anyways, they have kind of announced a gold-backed currency. Russia today did a full expose on this gold-backed currency that BRICS is going to do. And of course, Russia today is fully funded, publicly funded by the Russian Federation. So it's highly unlikely they would be saying anything that was not approved by the Russian government. Doesn't mean it's true. It could be propaganda. It could be a psyop. But hey, it's most likely approved message by the Russian government. Now, on the flip side, because this is where the contradictory information comes out, the chief financial officer of BRICS Bank has said, well, that's not exactly true. We have no immediate plans to release any kind of a currency. So we're getting these contradictory information, but that's not that unusual. That happens. It happens on both sides. They'll put information on one side, and then they'll put information out that contradicts it. So that's not too surprising, but it does look like that's happening. Both Russia, China, well, all of the BRICS nations, and many of these other nations that have been interested in being part of BRICS have been buying up gold at an astounding rate. In fact, the top 7 central banks, with the exclusion of the Federal Reserve, has been buying up record amounts of gold over the last few months. China has just been engorging themselves on buying gold. And China and Russia both are gold producers. China doesn't even sell their gold to the open market. They keep it for the most part. And then Russia, who knows how much gold they have, because they are a major producer of gold. And so there's the amount that they say they have, there's no way to confirm that's it. There's a lot of speculation. They could have a substantial amount more. The same way with China. There's a lot of people that think they don't have as much as they do, but there's actual some indication that they may be, in possession of a lot more gold than what they say. And then, of course, everyone always jumps back to the United States, that we have the largest amount of gold on the planet, except no one has actually ever seen it. No, it's never been seen. The last time that gold was audited was like 50 years ago, and no one saw it. It was just someone apparently did it. We don't really know. And so there's been speculation for a long time that there's not a drop of gold in Fort Knox. So who knows? The point is that the world economically is drastically changing. They're starting to see the fallacy in the debt-based currency system of the US dollar, and they're also seeing the dangers of nations putting all their eggs in that basket and then doing something that's that the United States doesn't like. In fact, I think it was yesterday, Janet Yellen was talking about all this, and she even admitted, which I was surprised at this, but she admitted that a lot of these countries would look favorable upon another global reserve currency, especially if it was gold-backed, because the U.S. dollar has been used as basically a weapon to sanction nations that the United States and the West doesn't feel is participating and playing in the sandbox properly. And so a lot of these nations see that, and they're like, listen, so you're telling me that we have to use this debt-based U.S. dollar that doesn't benefit us at all. It only benefits the United States. So we're not helping ourselves. And if we don't do all the social justice ESG stuff that you tell us to do, if we don't tell our people to put the thing in their arm, or if we don't tell our people that it's okay for children to choose things, that it's normal for for a man to be a woman and a woman to be a man, and they can have all these weird surgeries and colorful rainbow flags. If you're saying that we have to force this kind of ideology on our people, or you punish us with sanctions, then why would we want to be part of your debt-based currency system? And Janet Yellen pretty much admitted that yesterday in a little speech she did. She also did not deny that BRICS was coming out with a currency. She just said she didn't feel that it was going to be that big of a threat in the immediate. She said that she felt that the U.S. dollar still had many years of dominance as the reserve currency. That's very possible. But there are factors in there that I'm sure she would never admit to, or certainly isn't going to tell you, that could change that. For instance, Saudi Arabia has shown great interest in being part of the BRICS system. They've certainly made it known that they're not really interested in being America's friend anymore. They're China's friend now. And of course, Saudi Arabia is the controlling power over the globe, the world's not just oil supply, but the oil market. So what would happen if Saudi Arabia just one day said, you know what, we're going to make a public announcement, and we're going to let everyone in the world know that we're going off the U.S. dollar. I mean, if you wanted to use the U.S. dollar, I guess that's okay, but we're not using the U.S. dollar anymore to sell all of our oil, and we're going to tell all of our OPEC friends to do the same thing. And we really like this gold. You know, gold for oil, oil for gold seems so much better, makes more sense than oil, a commodity, for a piece of paper that's completely worthless to us. That would have some really drastic ripples when it comes to global reserve currencies. That would, I think, would make a major impact. China owns about $1 trillion in U.S. securities, which I know it's not a direct, exact thing, but that's a dollars. They own a trillion U.S. dollars is what that means. Because if they dumped all that, it would be as if $1 trillion just came back into the U.S. market. It would be, like if we just printed $1 trillion out of nowhere and distributed it nowhere. It would cause inflation. It would also could cause a ripple effect or a landslide effect of other nations starting to dump U.S. dollar. So, while we don't know for certain that the unveiling of this gold-backed currency would cause the U.S. dollar to overnight collapse, probably not overnight, but I could see several scenarios where it could cause the U.S. dollar to lose a massive amount of prominence in a shorter period of time than folks like Janet Yellen are talking about. So I think this is a major deal. Then you have to look at countries in Africa, and now Africa is becoming a major player. For those of you my age and older, you grew up in a time where Africa was seen as just this third world, war-ravaged, constantly dealing with, famines and disease and starvation. There's still places that's true, but it's not that way for a lot of places anymore. In fact, Africa has the potential to be the next big booming area of the planet, and being some of the most wealthiest nations on the planet, because they're finding so much resources. Just in the last couple of years, it's been announced that about $17 trillion in gold has been discovered, or gold veins and stuff in Africa have been discovered. Several other of these rare earth minerals that are used in producing all this technology have been discovered in Africa. Africa is becoming a major important player. And then all of these countries that either have already been producing gold or are now going to be major gold producers, they see a currency that's backed in gold, and they say that would make us worth a lot more because we have a lot of gold, right? If we use the U.S. dollar, it doesn't really benefit us any. You're just putting your sanctions, like Uganda, where they're wanting to put sanctions on them, or all these other countries in Africa because they don't want to adopt this new far left, woke agenda. And then they look at the BRICS and they say, well, if we switch over to a gold-backed currency and we have lots of gold, that makes us important and valuable. And we also gives us power on the global markets. So I could see a lot of nations in Africa switching over to this. I think it's going to be a major player. And I think that's what we're seeing, along with a lot of this other stuff, folks, that I talk to you about all the time. We are watching the world shift. At some point, there has to be some pushback, I would think. At some point, the West is going to make a last dying effort to save itself as the prominent position on this planet, because China and Russia and BRICS and all that is overtaking it. They will overtake it eventually. They're not the most prominent economy right now, but they will soon, especially if things rapidly increase because of all these potential changes I've mentioned. And so we're bound to see some type of major conflict. It's World War III is what it is. And then you and I are kind of caught in the middle, because we're just the pawns. We're the little ants on the ground, while all these elites are up here doing this stuff to try to get more wealth and more power. And it's not about you and I picking sides. It's about you and I realizing we have to take care of ourselves, right? We have to take care of ourselves. We have to find a place that we can be more secure, a physical place, a mental place, and that's what's most important, is that we realize that the whole world is going crazy, and all these superpowers are engaging with each other in hostility. And you and I are kind of caught in the middle, and we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared for this, because we're watching the very real potential for the currency, the paper money that's in your wallet, that's in your bank, that's in your IRA, and that's wrapped up in the debt in your house and your car and everything, completely collapsing or losing a massive amount of its value in a pretty short amount of time. That's going to very, very, very negatively affect you. And so you need to be ready for that. You need to be capable as much as possible of living outside that system. And the reason why is so when that system collapses, it doesn't bring you down with it. It's very hard to resist. It's very hard to stand up against corruption if you're dependent upon that corruption for your very existence. So that's why folks like you and I, we need to do everything we can to be as self-sufficient as we can. We need to build, communities and tribe and relationships with people around us that we can depend on them and they can depend on us. Because in the end, that's all that's going to really matter. If you live out in the middle of nowhere like I do, the federal government isn't going to come in and protect you and help you. You yourself and the people immediately around you are the only ones you'll be able to depend on. So be doing that and getting yourselves and your houses in order, because it's going to be really important. Last little note, I am doing a very interesting and exciting interview this afternoon. It will not be on YouTube, because I know we're going to talk about things YouTube will not like. So it's going to be posted over on Rumble. I encourage you to go over there and subscribe, follow me on Rumble. It will be up most likely later this afternoon, early evening. Folks, get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.